I've pointed the Department of Justice and also to Hunter Biden's representatives. He doesn't work in the government. Go ahead.
Mr. Biden, what flavor did you get?
That we're flexible enough to reinstitute the kinds of interventions that could be necessary to stop an additional surge.
Thomas wins the NCAA championship.
Oh my goodness, what a Friday. Hunter Biden emails were authenticated by the New York Times. Dr. Fauci has been found, praise God. And Leah Thomas, the male swimmer competing in women's swimming, won the championship in the NCAA. All of that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go.
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. Back to be back in the dingy bunker. Holy cow, it's been a long week traveling. But we're here today to talk about all of the different things. On today, it is March 18th, the year of our Lord 2022. New you in 22. Have you started the new you yet? I don't know if I have. I don't know if I like the old me. I don't know. New you in 22. A lot of stuff to get to today. Fauci's found. Fauci's been found. We've found Dr. Fauci. He went missing for like a month and a half, just completely off the face of the earth. But he's back and bigger than ever. So we'll make some jokes about him. But I wanted to get to this first because holy moly. Do you remember all of the now rumors that were swirling around Hunter Biden in the DNC? The Biden camp, the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, they were the ones spreading rumors that this was Russian disinformation. Because turned out the emails were all true. Have you heard this story yet? The NYT, the New York Times, has officially, as of yesterday, authenticated emails that appear to have come from a laptop abandoned by Hunter Biden in Delaware. A reporter began. The president previously said the New York Post was a bunch of, actually, I have this clip. I don't know why I'm reading the quote. I have the clip. This is a reporter inside the White House press briefing room asking Jen Psaki, I don't believe in silent letters, about the Hunter emails. Jen gets a little snappy, snap. Check this out.
More. The New York Times has authenticated emails that appear to have come from a laptop abandoned by Hunter Biden in Delaware. The president previously said that the New York Post story about this was a bunch of garbage and that it was a Russian plant. Does he stand by that assessment?
I've pointed the Department of Justice and also to Hunter Biden's representatives. He doesn't work in the government. Go ahead.
Oh no, Jen says they all turned out to be true. There were several tweets that people dug up. I don't have them put on the screen here, but just paraphrasing, Jen's tweeting during this whole thing 2 years ago. There are several FBI and CIA people saying that the Hunter Biden emails are Russian disinformation. Remember the New York Post? We bring this up like every 2 months. We talk about this story because it gets more and more authentic every time we talk about it. But remember the New York Post broke the story about Hunter Biden emails leaking from a laptop that he had taken into a repair shop and just abandoned. Some guy opens the laptop, like, holy crap, this is Hunter Biden's laptop. The New York Post got their Twitter account suspended for like 2 weeks because they wouldn't take the story down. If you talked about it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, any of those channels, you got your stuff taken down because, well, we just don't want to push Russian misinformation. But the New York Times apparently authenticating those emails. Another reporter brought up the issue later on, the time highlighting Psaki's own past dismal of the laptop. The reporter said, in October 2020, you dismissed the laptop and dismissed it as Russian disinformation. Do you still stand by that? And then Jen Psaki again said, I'd point you to the Department of Justice and Hunter Biden's representatives. I wanted to play this clip from a couple months ago, Peter Doocy asking the same question of Jen Psaki. Check this out.
The president has said, and you have tweeted, that allegations of wrongdoing based on files pulled from Hunter Biden's laptop are Russian disinformation. There is a new book by a Politico reporter that finds some of the files on there are genuine. Is the White House still going with Russian disinformation?
I think it's broadly known and widely known, Peter, that there was a broad range of Russian disinformation back in 2020.
Okay.
So that didn't answer that question at freaking all. Jen Psaki saying, well, there's a lot of misinformation all over the place all the time. So yeah, maybe it could have been, maybe it wasn't. But as this news breaks, finally the media has been asking the president some of these important questions because, again, the president's son got wrapped up in Burisma in Ukraine, which is now being invaded by Russia. Whew. I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole. Look, if you want all of the different connections and ties and biolabs and Ukrainian oligarchs and Zelensky and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, there's people that are doing a much better job at that than I do. Go check out Jack Posobiec or somebody like that talking about all of those things. But finally, now that the Hunter Biden emails have been authenticated by the New York Times, the media is asking President Biden the hard questions. Check this out.
We got everybody milkshakes, didn't we?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Got everybody?
Yes, they're in the car, sir.
All right.
We got them. See, look.
Mr. Biden, what flavor did you get? We got one vanilla, one chocolate, but I wanted to get what we call black and white, but we're going to move it. And one more question.
Hunter Biden emails out today. I don't think that was recent. I think that was an old clip. Somebody shared it on the internet like it was recent. I don't actually know when that thing was. And a better journalist would have checked in on that, but I'm lazy and I thought it was funny and still applicable because there are things that go on that are crazy in the world. And the question that the media decides to ask the president, what flavor did you get, Mr. Biden? So there's that. Oh, I want to move on to this. I want to play. We don't have a ton of time to get in this because we got a great guest coming up in like 2 or 3 minutes talking about, you know what? Let's just go into it right now. Leah Thomas, the transgender swimmer, has won the championships in the women's 500 meter yesterday. Thomas, who is a transgender woman, touched the wall 4 minutes, 33 seconds in the 500-yard freestyle on Thursday to become the first known transgender athlete to win a Division I national championship in any sport. This is actually great timing. I think John's going to be... So we've got a friend of mine, John Root, host of a bunch of different sports shows, is there right now, and we're going to talk to him as soon as he hops on, so I'll finish setting this up. Thomas finished 1.75 seconds ahead of the second place winner who attends Virginia. Thomas was a second season best with a little more than 9 seconds off of Katie Ledecky's record, which is Katie Ledecky is the Olympic swimmer who is a actual female woman. And yeah. Let me see. Shoot, lost my track here. The race began with a crowd cheering for each of the swimmers, but fans were noticeably quiet for Thomas's introduction. Save Women's Sports founder Beth Stetzel draped a vinyl banner over the organization's phrase "over the railing." Let me play this clip, and then we'll discuss on the other side. This is the winning. The interview seems fascinating, so just watch.
Leah Thomas wins her first NCAA championship, and she's the favorite again tomorrow in the 200-yard freestyle.
Leah, how did that performance measure up to your expectations coming into this meet tonight?
I didn't have a whole lot of expectations for this meet. I was just happy to be here, trying to race and compete as best as I could.
You've undoubtedly been under the spotlight over the past few months. How have you been dealing with that and reasoning with everything?
I try to ignore it as much as I can. I try to focus on my swimming, what I need to do to get ready for my races, and just try to block out everything else.
What did that race mean to you?
It means the world to be here, be with two of my best friends and teammates, and be able to compete.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm, again, generally of the mind of, you call yourself whatever you want, do whatever you want with your life, as long as you're not affecting other people negatively. But was that not clearly a guy giving an interview about beating women in a swim competition? Joining us right now, I'm not sure where he is, but I think I'll ask him. The host of TPUSA Breakaway Podcast, a sports podcast that doesn't give all the woke nonsense in there. We've got Mr. John Root, who is where are you actually? Are you in the actual swimming arena right now?
Yeah, so I'm actually in here right now. I'll flip around and I'll show you. So hopefully you can see what I'm showing you. The service isn't the best here.
It's great.
But yeah, I'm inside of Georgia Tech's Aquatic Center where Leah Thomas actually just competed in the prelims for the 200-meter freestyle. Obviously,
what happened? I'm shocked, John. What happened?
It's gonna blow your mind. Leah Thomas won.
What?
Yeah, crazy, right? Who would have thought a man competing against a bunch of women would win? So, and then obviously last night, Leah Thomas ended up winning the 500-meter freestyle, and it was wild because yesterday I was outside. I was talking to a bunch of the protesters from Save Women's Sports, and I was getting their take on everything. And then I actually crossed the street, and then I was like, all right, hey, you guys are the supporters of Leah Thomas. I want to hear what you have to say. And it's absolutely shocking to me that supporters of Leah Thomas cannot explain how someone was on the men's team for 3 seasons, was like 425th in the country for being a man, and then is now number 1 when they transition to be a woman. They can't explain that at all. And it's actually fascinating here. I know I just tweeted this out. The energy in this building dramatically changes when Leah Thomas is not competing. The silence is deafening, and I've had a lot of people come up and chat with me because they saw I was doing interviews yesterday, and they're like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I love what you're doing. I'm glad that you're speaking out against this, because this is wrong. Like, this is, I hope we don't look back 20, 25, 30 years from now and be like, you know what, because the NCAA allowed this ruined women's sports. Integrity and fairness in women's sports, it's gone. So I hope the NCAA does something, but there's a lot of people that are pretty vocal, but there's also a lot of people that are terrified to say anything.
So I'm curious, while you're there, like, look, you kind of talked about the feeling in the room and how it feels for the energy in the room when she's in the pool or when Leah Thomas is out of the pool. What are the parents like? Are you kind of being able to, like, just not necessarily talk to them, but see looks on the parents' faces? Because their kids are competing and not being given a fair shot. What is that dynamic like?
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't gotten to talk to the parents yet because this is the first day I'm actually in the building. But I've actually made sure that even when Leah Thomas was like listening to music, getting ready for the prelims today, you know, what are the coaches and other athletes doing? Are they recognizing Leah, or are they just kind of walking by? Obviously, like in sports, you know, people are going to be in the zone, so I try to look at it from that lens. But it doesn't seem like anybody's interacting with Leah. And then when Leah's competing, I'm looking at a lot of the spectators here, and you can tell there's just this. Their face just changes because they know that this man is jumping into the pool and is going to be beating their daughters unfairly in this competition. It's not fair whatsoever. I've just been trying to watch them during the whole competition and trying to understand kind of the vibe of what's going on here. And you can tell people aren't clapping. There's a few little, like, I mean, maybe heard like a couple voices that were like, "Go Leah," but there's like a few of those supporters here. People have like some trans flags and everything, but the parents and a few people that have come up to me, they're like, I don't support this at all. This is wrong. And I think a lot of people are saying it's not like a conservative or leftist issue. This is a fairness issue. This is a science issue. This is a biology issue. That there's a lot of people that are saying, Leah, identify whatever you want to identify as, but you are born a male and you have distinct advantages over these women. People feel that in the building, and their silence once again is deafening.
Yeah. John, can you turn your camera around one more time so we can see? I'm super glad that the internet held up so much. John is in the actual pool area right now talking to us on Daily Caller Live. John, before I let you go, I'm curious, any chance that you get awarded a media pass and possibly get a chance to talk to Thomas?
No. So we applied for a media pass, and there's a little bit of me that like somewhat understands when the NCAA is like, we don't want a bunch of news organizations here. But I actually did get to chat with the Rice University's head coach, who's actually been on Megyn Kelly's show. I'm hoping to meet up with him soon. I talked to a woman that used to swim at NC State. She was saying she got the first scholarship in the Title IX era for women. So there's a few people I'm going to get to chat with, and hopefully, like throughout this whole process, hopefully I'll get to chat with an athlete. We're trying to do everything we can, but the NCAA said, nah, you're not getting the media pass. We even tried doing that again today. They didn't let us bring in the big cameras, so I brought in the GoPro. So we're trying to kind of do it a little guerrilla style.
Gotcha. Dude, well, hey, John, thanks so much. I appreciate you doing it. I appreciate you doing it guerrilla style in the stands for us today. So, hey, looking forward to all of the content you got coming out there. Really, really excited to see all that. Really appreciate it, man.
Last thing I would say, Jobob, is anybody that's watching or following this, make sure you support the women that are finishing in second. That should be at the top spot on the podium. So support those women. Make sure you share their stories, share their names, because that's some more people that we should focus on. This is not just about Leah Thomas. It's about these women that should be winning, but they're not because a man's there. And also, this is more about just one athlete. This is about generations to come. Appreciate you, dude.
Toodle. Awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining us. So that was John Root talking to, just at the actual swim thing. I texted him last night. I was like, hey, man, like, are you going to be in the thing? Can you come on from there? I thought it was really interesting what he's talking about, the mood in the arena, the complex. I don't know. What do you call that? The swim area. He said just goes down when Leah Thomas is swimming. Probably because a biological male will always beat women in sports. I don't feel like that's a controversial statement really to make at all. But there's that. So let me see. Let's move on because do you follow me on social media? If you don't, you should. You know what? I'm going to throw up the handles really quick. Don't stop watching this show. Maybe like watch it on your laptop and grab your phone, because I did a hilarious unsolved mystery thing. You can find it on JOBOB on Instagram. Did a unsolved mysteries report on one Dr. Anthony Fauci, because he unfortunately had gone missing for several weeks. Everyone was very scared. The COVIDian community was terrified that their leader might have abandoned them or simply vanished. But Dr. Fauci, back in the news yesterday, talking to a host of interviews. We'll just play this. Listen to the Fauci on a local news station yesterday when he's talking about listen to this.
We have to be careful that if we do see a surge as a result of that we're flexible enough to reinstitute the kinds of interventions that could be necessary to stop an additional surge.
That could mean a return of mandatory masking, especially in areas of high transmission.
Oh, no, not again. But first of all, first thing goes without saying, thank goodness Dr. Fauci is safe. Again, he went missing for weeks. Nobody knew where he was. The COVIDian community was scared to death that their leader could have abandoned them or simply vanished. But Dr. Fauci is making the rounds again with the same old thing. What was he talking about? In the series of interviews on Thursday, Dr. Anthony Fauci reemerged like a beautiful butterfly out of his cocoon from wherever he's been laying low against the threat of Americans, says Americans must be flexible and ready to return to mask mandates. That didn't work, according to pretty much freaking everyone. As the so-called stealth Omicron, the subvariant of COVID, spreads, Dr. Fauci says we have to be careful Dang it, my Dr. Fauci sounds a lot like my Bernie Sanders. Says the man who hasn't said anything since the government has started to loosen its control on COVID in an interview with the San Diego affiliate. If we do see a surge of results like that, I got to work on my Fauci, that we're flexible enough to reinstitute the kind of interventions that could be necessary to stop another surge. Fauci also declared the pandemic's toll on Americans has been devastating. Where there is some truth to that. People have died of COVID, but you know what's been more devastating? What's been more devastating is the toll that the American people has suffered under the government reaction to COVID. Yes, people dying is bad, and we wish that people wouldn't have died because of this. However, in hindsight, in the grand scheme of things, I would argue that the American people suffered more under the government intervention and reaction to COVID than they did of actual COVID. So there's that. Which could mean that a Democrat lockdown could be forced on mom and pop shops and businesses and stay-at-home orders that contributed to mental health and drug crises and school closures that studies have only just suggested cause a rise in generational development suffer. So there's that. And the recently attention-starved face of America's pandemic. I don't know who wrote this. I think this might have been Vince. This is from the Daily Caller's editor briefing. The snark in it is hilarious. The recently attention-starved face of America's pandemic response issued a very similar veiled threat on PBS NewsHour, telling American people to prepare to pivot back to a little bit more masking. Pivot! Pivot! If you don't watch Friends, you probably didn't understand that reference. But bottom line, thank goodness Dr. Fauci is safe. But also, get out of here with your nonsense, Faucinator. Nobody's buying your ish anymore, dude. I want to get to this before we wrap it up for the week. This is interesting. I don't have a headline for this, or I don't have a little Chiron screen thing. If you haven't already, I know there's I see a couple thousand of you watching this. Click the little like button, click the little share button. People can watch this throughout the weekend. And see what's going on. Oh, wow. I'm also looking some in the comments section. People are upset that Dr. Fauci has poked his head out of the little hole that he's been hiding in over the last couple of months. Exactly why is this little flip-flopper coming back out now? Yeah, Ann says total government control. Yeah, that was one of the biggest problems with COVID. Let me get to this story really quick, though. I don't have a Chiron for it, but it's about the border. Biden officials fear mass migration event if COVID policies end. U.S. intelligence officials. Holy cow, this is a great point. If all of the COVID policies end, that makes the United States even more welcoming to people who would illegally enter our country. Duh. U.S. intelligence officials are privately bracing for a massive influx of more than 170,000 migrants, illegal immigrants, at the U.S.-Mexico border if COVID-era policies that allowed instant expulsion during the public health emergency are ended. Sources with direct knowledge discuss this with Axios. The response underway includes a newly created and previously unreported Southwest Border Coordination Center, essentially a war room to coordinate an insurgency response. So there is that. Also, this is not at all related to this, and I don't have a Chiron for this either, but President Biden is getting on the phone with President Xi of China. Dictator Xi of China. I don't want to keep saying President Putin and President Xi. So if I keep doing that, call me out. Tell me, like, hey, man, they're dictators, so call them what they are. Don't use our language on them. President Biden and dictator Xi are going to get on the phone today. U.S. President Joe Biden will hold a phone call on Friday with Chinese leader Xi as Washington warned China considering U.S. military support for Russia's invasion would be a dramatic step in the gulf between the United States and Beijing. That's going to be freaking fascinating. We're going to get to that on Monday with the fallout of that phone call. If you don't know, leading up to today, China supposedly was in communication with Russia about giving them military support, maybe financial support, and maybe some humanitarian support, given all of the sanctions that the rest of the world is putting on Russia. The United States said no. The Biden administration, Jake Sullivan is the guy's name, met 7 hours with a guy in Rome from China. It didn't seem like it looked good. As an American, I hope that phone call goes well, and I hope that President Biden succeeds in thwarting any sort of plan that China has to aid Russia in their invasion of Ukraine. So there's that. That's going to do it for us this week. Appreciate all you sticking around, tuning in, for being on the road for 3 days out of this week. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. I got to change this, Chiron. Some of these have changed. At Facebook is just at the Jobob. At JOBOB on Instagram, Twitter, Gitter, Truth. I'm on Truth Social. I don't use Truth Social enough. I gotta go try and use that more. But appreciate you taking the time to tune in, check it out, sticking with us throughout the entirety of the show. We'll see you next week with hopefully some information on that phone call with Putin and Xi, as well as anything else that happens over the weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in to Daily Caller Live. Have a great weekend. See you Monday. God bless America.